Welcome back to the Worthy Woman podcast with Aston Simmons. And today I have a beautiful special guest, the amazing Phoebe. I cannot wait to share her with you. She is a self-love and best life coach. She has written an incredible book, which I'm getting a copy of, and I'm super excited. I can't wait to dive into it. And I really just wanted to invite Phoebe on to share her magic. She has so many powerful perspectives on how to live an amazing life, a really good life that feels good on the inside and the outside. And I just love so many of her concepts. We share very similar beliefs, and I'm super excited to have her here with me. And I'm going to hand it over to Phoebe so she can share a bit about her journey and the amazing work she does.
Thanks, Aston. It's been such a pleasure meeting you. We've only met so recently, and it's just been like such a warm friendship so quickly. I love it. Thank you for having me. So a little bit about me. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 18. So I've always been a very driven little human being. And so these days I have my gym, Crossfit Long Haul in Maddington, which is all about good health and good times. And obviously I'm a self-love and best life coach. I've just written my book, The Best Life Bible, which is all about living your best life. And I help women really kind of as they're stepping into those power years, like they're really building up their careers, they're maybe starting families, they're buying houses, all those big moves for life, really trying to help them unlock that cream of the crop, cherries on top 20% of life, so they can really live their absolute best and love the heck out of every day. That's my dream. And I know you would want to know as well that I'm a brand new mum. My little baby Remy, she's just past 3 months. It's going so fast, but it's been such a cool journey it's like starting life all over again, figuring everything out from the beginning.
Oh my God, I love that. I absolutely love that. I already feel like you've shared so much gold. I was like, yes, I love how you're like these power years and power moves. And I
Yeah.
love the concept of thinking of like motherhood and, getting married or as a power move, like, yes, career, we all think of career like that, but I love the way you describe that because all of those are big, powerful decisions and moves in your life. And as women, we should be proud of them. We should be celebrating each other and getting the support we need through that. So I loved that. And we were talking about your gym before we went on air, and I absolutely love the concept of your gym. I was just saying that I used to be allergic to working out, and like allergic to the gym, probably like 6 years ago now. And it was just because, and I know lots of women can relate, especially after you've become a mom and had kids, that often like the gym doesn't seem like a fun place to hang out. It doesn't seem like a fun place to spend your time. And I think it's because of the culture and, things in society, this whole like bounce back culture after having babies and stuff like that, which I just think is just really not helpful to any of us. And I would love you to share your concept of your gym, because I just got so much from this. I literally, hearing you say this, I was like, I want to go to your gym because this sounds like the gym that I would actually go to and want to go to.
Yes, I love that. I honestly feel like what you've said is like that is 90% of our client base. Most of the people that eventually are attracted to us, we really have to break down their walls and all of the many, many years of being uncomfortable in gyms that they've been through. But they end up with us and they're kind of always saying things like that to us, like, oh man, I used to hate the gym. I can't believe that I love it here and I love coming and I actually even enjoy exercise. And it's because of that. It's like we've just taken all those layers of all the gross stuff, I think these days it almost is like so many of us are tricked into thinking that like hate and like being so uncomfortable in yourself is a motivator, and it just isn't. Like loving yourself is a motivator, caring about yourself is a motivator, having fun is like motivational. And most of the time when we think about going to the gym, it's like, oh, because I need to fix something, or I'm what I have going on is not good enough and I need to, like, that. It never motivates us, just bums us out. And the more we fall down that path, and even gyms obviously sell us that path as well. It's really, I mean, you would know in business, I love the concept of when we're marketing to people's pleasure points instead of their pain points. And gyms are so full of that. It's always like do you hate yourself? Like, do you wish that you were skinnier? Do you wish that like you would get off your bum and do something? And it's such a like attack on you, and it kind of makes you feel terrible enough to want to do something tomorrow. But when tomorrow comes, you're kind of like, I don't know, you don't feel good about it, and it doesn't really make you actually want to go. So we really, yeah, we just wanted to create that place. I worked through so many gyms, obviously, before I opened my own, and I just wanted it to be this really beautiful place, and this where like that slice of the community could come. Like anyone and everyone is welcome, but I just know that slice of the community that like doesn't really care about what anyone else is doing, or maybe doesn't even want to exercise just for a weight loss goal. They actually want to exercise to be healthy and feel good about themselves and maybe make some friends, because that shit's hard the older you get. Like
Yes.
it's really for those people. And yeah, we have such an amazing community of people that have fallen into that and just keep creating it. It's amazing. I love
Oh, I love that so much. I love that so much. And I can feel your passion. And yeah, that literally sounds like my kind of gym. And I 100% agree. I say this to couples and women in relationships all the time. We are literally like conditioned to believe that criticism and like, judgment and hate and shame is motivating, or that people are going to change if we do that to ourselves or to each other. It doesn't work. It doesn't
Yeah.
work. And you feel really shitty about it as well. You feel shitty about yourself. You feel like a horrible person when you do it to yourself or you do it to your partner. And it's just crazy how this world just lives off so much fear when so much love is available as well. And I just love that you decided to be different and was like, you know what? Yeah, okay, you can make yourself feel bad and go, or you can love yourself and go. And like, that can actually be just as powerful. And I would say probably more powerful, because then you make a commitment
Yeah.
to stay and you keep showing up for yourself. And rather than doing it because you think you have to, or you think you need fixing, or you're broken, or whatever other lies, that we're all fed. So I absolutely love that so much. That really excites me. It sounds like my type of gym.
Yeah. The energy is so different to do something, because you love yourself and because you almost appreciate the process, like when you love yourself and you're going to the gym because you just, you care about you, your life is important, that, being able to show up for your kids is important to you, how good it makes you feel for the day. So you have better relationships, you work harder, like all those things come together. And the energy of going there like that, you just enjoy, like, look at me moving my body, look at me
Mm,
getting up and doing this for myself, look at me putting myself on the priority list, as opposed to when we turn up just being like, I need to sort myself out because I'm a giant pile of shit. Like we get there and we do one workout that we hate the whole way, and then we're annoyed that we haven't magically changed everything in one session, and it's so hard to stick to like that. And it's a
yeah.
giant bummer. I don't know. Those sort of thoughts make me want to lock myself in the room with like
Oh,
2 kilos
same.
of Maltesers, not like
Yes, I love
get up and go to the
Maltesers.
gym.
Yep, I literally love
Yeah.
Maltesers. You could not have picked like a better chocolate for me. Um, but
I want to eat my Maltesers with love, not with like
yes,
guilt.
oh, I 100%. And this dives in beautifully to self-love, because for me, self-love has two parts. It's like accepting yourself for who you are, like fully. Fully, that's the
Yeah.
first part, full acceptance. And then the second part is like you talked about, putting yourself first, but putting yourself with love to make positive changes that you want to make, working on things that you want to work on because you love yourself and you want to, explore more of yourself. You want to grow into yourself more. So I really believe that self-love has those two sides. And so when I'm eating the Maltesers, I eat them guilt-free. Like exactly what you
Yeah.
said. I eat them with love. When my kids are at daycare and I'm dating my husband, I am fully present with dating my husband, and there is no guilt that I'm having one-on-one time with him, like zero. And I
Yeah.
know that so many women struggle with this, and I know you get it because we're like soul sisters, but which is crazy because like we haven't known each other that long, but I felt exactly the same when I met you. I was just like, just got all the feels, all the goosebumps, felt so warm, and was just like, this girl knows my vibe. Like we're on the same wavelength, and I just loved it. But yeah, I'd love to share, because I know I speak to women all the time, and you probably do as well, that struggle with this, the mum guilt and putting themselves first. And like if they do something for themselves or they eat the chocolate, they then beat themselves up about it and they're annoyed at themselves. Like I'd love to hear your whole view on self-love and this whole mum guilt thing, which is like literally just running riot in society and so many women today. It's crazy.
It's so hard. And I think it's been so interesting to me. I was honestly, I'm that weirdo that like through my pregnancy, I was like, man, I can't wait to have this baby and feel like a giant pile of jelly and show everyone how you can love yourself anyway. And I can't
Oh,
wait
I
to like
love
have
that.
mum guilt and tackle it and show everyone how you can like still be happy, things like
I
that.
love
So
that.
I've been like waiting for all those things to come, and they have come. And obviously I've like gone through lots of them, and it's so interesting to me, even I think, I always thought mum guilt would be like, I don't know, feeling like you're not parenting well enough. Whereas for me, mum guilt came up more like I don't know, I would just be sleeping and then I would be like, I'm not spending enough time with her. What's she doing? Is she growing? Is she doing stuff I'm missing? Like, I want to
Yeah.
be there for all of it. And it just is so interesting the different ways that it shows up. But I
Yeah.
always think, in a dream world, and when we get there, and we will all get there, like we will do things purely because we know that we're worth it and like we
Mm.
deserve it, and that's it, end of story. But I do find a really helpful stepping stone on the way is to really think about like who else it impacts. Because when we are so hard on ourselves, like obviously it's not good for our mood, but that affects everything else. When we don't love ourselves and we're not confident in ourselves and we don't give ourselves that space to be our best and be at the top of the priority list, then it's so hard to show up the right ways, in the ways that we really want to. Like, our kids are seeing everything that we do, and I don't want that ever to feel like another space of guilt that we have to worry about. But, like think about how we want our kids to speak to themselves, and we want to speak to ourselves the same way. And if we want to show up at work and really like fucking crush it, you need to turn up with your like fucking crush it energy. You can't turn up being doubting yourself and thinking about all the things you did wrong yesterday. And like you were saying, when we go down those guilt and shame spirals, honestly, the thing I always think is it's just a waste. Like that's so much energy and that's more time. Like, let's say I fucked something up yesterday. I've already done it. I've already fucked it up. I'm not going to spend more days and time thinking about the fuck up. I'm going to spend more days and time fixing it or figuring out what I can do better or what I can learn from it. Like that's just a way better way to spend your time. And obviously, like the only thing that's ever going to make you feel better about it is you doing something about it or learning to accept it or being able to say, okay, that happened. And, I'm still a worthy human being and everybody makes mistakes and all that sort of thing. So, trying to redirect that energy that way to how can I make this a productive lesson rather than, we can quadruple the problem by just falling down that guilt and shame cycle as
Oh
well.
my God. I feel that so much. I'm like, amen, sister. And we've all been there. When I first became a mum, I did the same. I was like I said before we went on air, my son was not what was considered like an easy child, or easy baby. I don't know if they even exist, but he needed breastfeeding every 45 minutes. Like he didn't sleep through the night. He was just needed me a lot. And that actually was difficult for me to accept, that all he really needed was me. That was even quite confronting. But once I did, it was like, okay, cool. Like, I don't need to buy him X, Y, and Z. I don't need to have, the latest fandangle thing or whatever. He doesn't care, and
Yeah.
I soon realized that he didn't need all the stuff. He just needed me to be fully there for him. And, the more I took care of myself, the better I was able to be there for him and for my husband and, everyone in my life. And I loved how you talked to that because thinking about the ripple effect definitely helps to motivate me. If I'm feeling down on myself and I'm like, oh, I can't do this for myself right now, all I have to do is think of like my daughter Willow, and I'm like, how would I want her to talk to herself right now? How would I want her to show up for herself? Would I tell her not to rest? No, never.
No, no.
Or like a girlfriend or a best friend. I say to clients all the time, would you say that to your girlfriend or your best friend? Like if someone said that horrible thing you're saying to yourself, to you, and said that they're saying that about themselves, you would never go, yeah, that's so true. Like, you should definitely feel
Yeah.
guilty about that. And, yeah. And they're like, no way, never. I'm like, cool. So let's like do the same for us. Like, what's the difference? It's exactly the same.
Yeah. And like, if you said that to your friend, do you think she's going to bounce out of bed tomorrow ready to like fix herself? No way. She's going to be in the dark with the Maltesers. Like, we've got to, like,
100%. There's nothing like helpful about it, is it? I loved how you said, like,
no.
we can literally quadruple it. Like, it takes the same amount of
Yeah.
energy to sit in it as it does. Like, I'm all for feeling what you need to feel. Cool, feel it, but then let it go. And like you said, put the energy into actually taking an action for something to be different, because we can't change the
Yeah.
past. We can't go back and change
No.
the past, but we can own our mistake. Like you said, just take ownership and then be like, yeah, okay, that was shit. Feel that. And then decide, okay, I want to do something different. How can I make this look different? And then put your energy towards the solution. I'm 100% with you. Even when we work with couples in relationships, I'm like, okay, identify the problem, but as fast as possible, get out of the problem and get into the solution, because talking
Yeah.
about the problem just makes the problem bigger, you know? Um,
It's such
and
a part, like it's such a massive part of change, isn't it? There's really those two phases of like the awareness. And I think so many people get stuck in the awareness. I've got a lot in my book
mm,
about that, where you kind of, you're like, okay, it's such a big thing, I guess, with like trauma and understanding that now we find all these reasons of like, oh, I keep repeating this shitty behavior because of maybe these experiences that I've been through or the way that I grew up. And you're like, okay, that's powerful information, but not if you don't do anything. Otherwise, now you're just stuck with an excuse. Like, I did this because X. And you're like, okay, so now what? What are we going to do about
yes.
it?
Oh,
That's
I
where the
love
power
that.
is.
I love that you mentioned that, because I feel 100% the same. I think, yes, awareness is the first step and we need the awareness. Amazing. But you're so right. So many people get stuck in awareness. And this is why, even when I work with couples on relationships, like, I don't love to use labels like narcissist, or you're an avoidant attachment, or, if you learn about love
Yeah.
languages and attachment styles. I know all of that exists. And like you said, yes, it is helpful to have an understanding, but not if you get stuck in that understanding. And like you said, you decide to use it as an excuse, because we could all do that. We can all say like, oh, this is my personality, so this is how I am, full stop. Or like, I'm just somebody who isn't affectionate, so I don't show affection, full stop. Like, we
Yeah.
could all
No.
do that, but we would get nowhere. And lots of people do. Like, lots of people do try and use their personality or how they were raised or whatever as an excuse. And what I try and encourage like women and couples to see is that whatever limitation you defend, you get to hold on to. So,
Mm.
if you are literally saying that this is my limitation, I can only do this because of X, then you just get to hold on to that limitation. So, when you say it like that, they're kind of like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to be limited. I'm like, well, great. If you don't want to be limited, it's like you need to go to that second step, which I describe it like implementation or practicing it or embodying it, like actually taking the action. So, doing the messy work of practicing what you've learned and taking the feedback. And that's where the
Yeah.
change starts to happen. And it is a muscle. Like, I'm sure you can relate that you have to do it again and again and again. Um, but it's
Yeah.
so
And give
important.
yourself so much grace in the process. Like we
Yes.
say, you don't have the awareness and then let yourself go down a guilt and shame spiral every time you don't nail it. Just see
Yeah.
it, keep
Yeah.
practicing.
And
Yeah.
like, you're going to make mistakes. I say this couples all the time. I'm like, you're going to make a mistake. And they're like, okay. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, well, like, own that and be okay with it. Because otherwise you do set yourself up for failure. I still make mistakes in my relationship, in my life, all the time. But I'm, like you
Yeah.
said, I think you said earlier, I'm okay with mistakes now, because that to me is now a stepping stone to success. It's not a sign that I'm failing. It's a sign that I'm
Yeah.
stepping towards success, because I know that if I'm making mistakes, I'm in the arena, I'm trying, I'm learning, I'm growing. Um, I'm just taking the feedback, and then I get back up and take another step. And, I think that's the key, that a lot of people, it's like this obsession with perfection and doing it the right way. And
Yeah. that's such a good piece on self-love and confidence. People think that other people are confident because they're perfect, and they're
Oh,
not. Confidence literally just means that you are accepting of the fact that you're a human being and you are still going to have mistakes. Like every single person has mistakes. And when you can start accepting those, like that's where the power is, to be able to accept it without heaps of judgment and be able to move forward with it. That's confident, and that's, yeah, very
100%.
powerful.
And it's a skill, isn't it? It's a skill. It's a practice.
Yeah.
It's not like a one and done, like, you know,
No.
and that's for nobody. Like no one has that experience. For everybody, it's something
No.
that you work on like daily. I know for me, that's exactly what it's like. Oh my God, so much gold already. I'm just like trying to take notes in my head of everything that we're covering as well. Do you want to share a bit about your book as well before we dive into relationships more? I'd love to hear a bit more about your book. I mean, I know you shared with me there's some really powerful chapters, I think, that you've got on relationships, whether you want to dive into that. I loved reading about that.
Yeah, so the book is called The Best Life Bible, and it's kind of just an accumulation of, I don't know, where my life has taken me. I think it took me a really long time to realize that the way I look at things and the way I'm able to, face things that are difficult, but make a decision to use it as a learning process, use it as a way to grow, really accept things that are in front of me that I can't change as well, and find a way to be happy around them anyway. It took me a lot of years to realize those were like really special skills, and they are like they're my secret sauce that I need to share with everyone. So yeah, I've been sort of sharing those for a long time, and of course, everyone when they hear those, they're like, "You've got to write a book." And it felt like my time. December last year, I was like, "Okay, I'm going to write the book," and then January 1st, New Year's Day, I found out I was pregnant, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is very perfect. I guess this is what I'm going to be doing with my pregnancy." So I spent like 9 months in bed writing my book.
Beautiful. I love that.
And yeah, it really grew into. I didn't realize at the start. I thought it was. I realized as I was going that I was kind of like just telling people what to do. And as I was going through, I was like, but you're bringing all of this in your mind. It's coming out of these stories and these experiences that you've had. And I was like, share the stories and experiences. They're actually, the powerful part and the evidence for why you need to share these things. So every chapter is kind of just there's 10 chapters, and they are basically the elements of life that I feel like you really need to nail and you need to spend some energy on, and really need to set a positive perspective and mindset on if you want to live your best life. It's called 10 non-negotiables for living a seriously good life, because I really feel like if you don't do it, if you don't do that work, and you don't, create that really positive energy and space around all of those topics, then you're going to continue to struggle. And I do have a little bit of a hard line with people sometimes. I always say out of love, but when you're feeling stuck and there's options available, the answer is just, what are you going to do about it? Like, you have to do something. It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, I
So
love that.
we cover lots of different topics. So yeah, a little bit about relationships, purpose, there's things on self-love and self-care, having a growth mindset, finding what you believe in, whether that's like very broad, religion or spirituality, anything down that path, little bits about manifestation, gratitude.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's just 10 different topics that I just feel are like so essential and can really change your life. So each one's kind of got what I think you should do about it and some good tools that you can use to start working towards it, and stories from my life, lots of hot spicy tea from my life of situations I've been in and things I've had to get through to really reach those conclusions as well.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh, there's so much in that. I was like, the I just 100% agree that it comes back to your perspective, and that is your secret sauce. And I know for years it took me a long time to realize that, the stuff that I'd gone through and overcome was resilient building and was building skills in me that you can't, once you go through, you can then teach to somebody and they can learn. Like not everybody just has the same experience as you. Therefore, not everybody has the same lessons. So it is so powerful. And I really believe people become people through other people. So I just love that there's people like you sharing your perspective and your lessons, because I'm definitely that person that's like, I will learn the lesson from you so that I don't have
Yeah.
to, so that I can learn it sooner. I'm one of five,
Yeah.
and in my family, I would watch my siblings even from a young age and be like, hey, I need to learn that lesson, and I would be
Yeah.
so grateful to learn a lesson through somebody else, because I knew that meant fast tracking my own journey and
Mm.
learning a lesson faster that would help me at some point on my journey. And, I think that's so powerful. We all have a different perspective. And like you said, sometimes we do need a bit of that tough love that, there's options or there's solutions there, but we're choosing not to actually do it. We're choosing not to do the work. And, like your book and the work I do, this is the real work. The inner work is the real work. Like if you want to
Yeah.
make an impact on the outside, if you want things to change on the outside, you have to do the inside work. You've got to do, like what you said, look at your mindset, look at your self-love, look at what you're believing, look at your relationship to growth. Is it healthy? Like, are you someone who does have a growth mindset, or are you someone who's very fixed and can't, won't look at other options, won't think outside the box? And, is that serving you in your life? And there can be tough questions. It can be a bit of tough love, but I love, like that you said, you have to ask these questions, and it is a non-negotiable. If you want to live your best life, you have to be able to look at all these areas of your life and really answer those questions and get really honest with yourself, because you've got to be that person that's living that best life,
Yeah.
you know?
100%. Like you have to do something different if you want something different. We
Mm,
can't, if where you are is, it might be good. And that's so many of like the clients that I work with and I want to work with are people, your life is already good. You're doing a great job. You're establishing yourself, you're making lots of really cool moves, but everyone's got those couple of areas of life that aren't sitting right with them, or they know there's more potential or more that they could do, or something, those habits and behaviors that we keep seeming to repeat, or patterns we find ourselves in that just aren't serving us. And yeah, at the end of the day, like I think the most empowering thing is knowing there are ways to change it. There is, whatever
mm.
problem you are ever having, there's someone else who's been through it. And if we, like you said, if we can learn their lessons without having to go through so much pain, or if you're already in the midst of the pain, like hunt that person down and find those solutions so that you can fast track it and get yourself out of the mud quicker.
Oh,
Because we don't need
100%.
to, suffer so much. We let ourselves suffer
Mm.
way too much.
Oh, 100%. Pain, yes, I understand we go through pain, and that does happen. But to me, suffering has always been a choice. Like, I know you touched on this, that, you've gone through stuff that's been hard, but you've chosen to accept what's in front of you and learn from it, and then make decisions to get out of it or to change it, rather than just sit and wallow in your suffering. And I really do think as a society, we're quite addicted to the suffering.
Yeah, it's a thing, isn't it? I think I did a post on my social media. One of the things that I said we were leaving behind, we're leaving in 2022, is trying to like out sad girl each other. Like when someone
Yeah.
tells you they're struggling with something, for some reason, we feel like we need to compete and tell them something we're struggling with more, even if we don't genuinely feel it. But if you look for all of the hard, shitty, negative feelings, you'll find them.
Oh,
I
100%.
actually I found it so interesting when I was writing the book, because I am such a generally like happy and positive, and I see everything that's happening to me always with such a positive light. Like, don't get me wrong, I cry in the shower and scream into my pillow from time to time, as any healthy human being should.
Yep.
But I see everything so positively, and like as yeah, an opportunity to learn and grow and all that sort of thing. So when I was writing the book and I was starting to think about these stories I wanted to share, I had that moment of, like, are people just going to think that I have this perfect life, so it's easy for me to tell you how to live a perfect life, but I've never been through anything hard? And I was like, dude, you've actually been through so much hard stuff, but it just hasn't felt that hard to you because you look at it differently. And so when I started pumping out all those stories of, what my childhood was like, weird ass relationships I've been in, like my miscarriage, even like all sorts of things like that, I was like, you've been through heaps of hard stuff, like everyone has. Not saying it's any harder than what anyone else has going on, but just the way that I look at it, I almost before writing the book, I was like, oh, my life's been easy.
Yeah.
But,
I
like,
I
I've just
100%.
chosen for it to be easy.
Yeah, I can 100% relate to that because I have often felt the same. I'm like you, quite high vibe, positive, but it does not mean that things are easy for me. And there is a misconception. I have a great relationship with my husband, but it wasn't easy. We've had so many hard times. We've nearly got divorced. Like, so many things have not gone to plan or not gone as expected because we're human beings living like a real life like everybody else. And I think this is where social media doesn't help because, people share their highlight reels and then they literally think that is people's life. And I've shared this before. I look at social media as 15 to 20% of your life. Like,
Yeah.
that's how I look at it. Because I'm like, I know it's not 80% because I don't share 80%. If I shared the 80%, I wouldn't be living my life, like,
Yeah.
you know. So I have that belief that, they're showing me their highlight reel. I'm like, awesome, celebrating you because I also know that you would be having hard times. That in that 80%, there is
Yeah.
hard times. There is things you're overcoming. And and that's true for me, that's true for everybody. Like, and you're so right, everybody struggles, literally everybody is struggling through something. It might be different
Yeah.
to you, but part of that is the human experience. Like I see that struggle as a bit of a gift. There's something I need to overcome here. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not being punished, I'm actually loved by life. I'm loved by God or the universe or whatever you believe in. Because this obstacle, if I'm willing to change my perception of it, exactly like you said, like, look for the lessons, look for the growth and overcome it, I'm going to be a different person on the other side of it. And when I look back, all of the obstacles I've overcome, literally every single one of them had such a powerful purpose in making me who
Yeah.
you know what I mean? In making me who I am today or helping me move in a different direction that I just couldn't foresee back then, and when I was going through it. But on the other side, I can look back and be like, if that hadn't happened, I would not be here doing this right now. So this is
Absolutely.
exactly what needed to happen. If I'm ever in doubt, I hand it over to God or universe and I'm like, I trust you. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand why this is happening. It does not make sense to my mind, but my heart knows that I'm being guided and that I'm here for a reason and that I have a path. So show me the way, you know?
Yeah.
And that always
And
helps
even
me.
if you can look back at those old things that were really hard at the time, but you came through and you learned something and you grew from, and it turned out like way better than you could have expected. When you're in the shit of something new, like, then it's a nice thing to do for yourself, is look back at those things
Yes.
and go, okay, remember how that worked out? Like, this is going to work out too, and it's going to be okay.
Yes. It's like more evidence. I love that. And I honestly prefer to reflect and look back or be present than look forward. My
Yeah.
husband, my husband is the opposite. He has been such a forward thinker and future thinker, like our whole relationship in life. And like this time of year, it's interesting that you brought it up. It always brings it up in me. I used to hate goal setting because I didn't like to go too far ahead and look too far in the future. It felt overwhelming. It felt like pressure. Um, so I like to do what you said. I look back and reflect on everything I've like overcome and all the lessons. And that when I look back, wow, it doesn't actually seem that bad. But I do remember it was when I was in it. But I then take the lessons from that and I'm like, okay, so what lessons of that do I want to take into my future and what I'm attracting, moving forward. And then I focus more on like an intention of how I want to feel going into that, future. But
I
how do
love
you
that. I
feel
feel
it?
like
Yeah.
me and my husband are the opposite. I'm
Oh,
always
really?
like, not in any kind of anxious way, like in such an excited way. I'm like, we're going to do this and this is going to happen. And this like outrageous goal is going to be achieved with absolutely no understanding of how we're going to get there.
Yep.
We're going to do this and this and this and this. And my husband's just like, whoa, can we just do today for a minute?
Yes, I feel you. I'm more like your husband and you're more like my husband. I'm like, can we just get back in the present moment? But I love that because he's definitely helped me dream bigger and I've helped him get present. And I'm sure
Yes.
you've noticed a similar thing in your relationship. And I love this about relationships. They are such a gift to like bring whatever we feel we haven't cultivated in ourselves. and help us cultivate it, like, and learn to have a relationship with it. Like, I am so much better at setting goals now because we've been together for 19 years. Because I got used to, I got curious about what he meant about dreaming big and that energy and it being so fun. And he did the same. He was like, yeah, but I also love that you look at the details and you're in the present moment of like what we're creating now, which is,
Yeah, that's
really
so nice.
powerful.
And powerful for you both to build safety in that, because I think that's usually it, right? Is we get the reason we're looking so far ahead all the time is because we're feeling like there's something not enough right now, or
Mm,
the reason we're too scared to look ahead is because, like you said, it feels like pressure and it feels like stress and it's too daunting. So breaking those down and having, I think, yeah, seeing other people in our lives who really look up to and we love seeing them succeed, then it brings kind of safety around those opposite areas that maybe we wouldn't usually venture into.
yes, definitely. And man, do they show up in our relationships. We literally, I swear we attract opposites for a reason. Like, I always say this,
Yeah.
I'm like, and it is like, we're attracted to whatever we want to cultivate in ourselves, like, that part of ourselves that we haven't opened. It's like this person becomes a mirror of like, oh, this is an opportunity for you to, I'm reflecting what you need to look at, or I'm reflecting what you need to open to. And it's exciting, but it can also be hard. Like, I know I've experienced that in my relationship.
This is actually making me think of two of my distant friends. I hope they don't mind that I'm going to share this. Um, got married just recently, and my cousin went to their wedding, and she was telling us like her favorite line from the whole wedding. She said in her vows that I'll keep you safe and you'll keep me wild. And I literally cried. I was
Oh,
like, that is so beautiful that you're
I
such polar
love
opposites and you just
that.
recognize it so much and feel it so much. And you both
Yes.
bring that out for each other. How lovely.
Oh, that gives
I
me goosebumps. And
I love love.
yes, I love love too. I'm such a
Yeah.
romantic. I'm like, all we need is love. Does everybody love each other more? We need more love.
Everybody love everybody.
Yeah, just love. Oh my God. I can feel the love. I bet you everybody listening to this is like, I'm feeling the love. I want more love. I really hope everybody is feeling the love. Oh my God. I could literally chat to you forever, and I'm just loving this love energy. I feel like we should finish on this high of this love energy because it's in me right now. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing this time with me, beautiful Phoebe. I absolutely love your energy. I love everything you're about, and definitely go and check Phoebe out on Instagram. I'll put all her links below. She's got an incredible vibe. And I'll also put the link to her book, which is super exciting.
Woohoo.
Go and show her some love. Go and read this amazing book that you've been lucky enough to hear about. And go and live your best life, because honestly, we only know so far that we get one bloody life. So I'm like, let's live our best life. Let's be the best version of ourselves. Let's live our best life, because we 100% deserve it. We're so
Yes,
worthy.
you deserve it for sure. Thank you so much,
Amazing.
Aston. That was lovely.
You are so welcome, beautiful.